Good evening, I'm Juanita Phillips. This is ABC News Sunday. And a little later in the program, we'll return to the South Coast for a special look at how one community is getting back on its feet after the fires.
I'm Jeremy Fernandez in Lake Conjola, an idyllic getaway on the South Coast that's been deeply affected by one of the most destructive bushfires this season. Now we're back to check in with the locals and see what's next on their road to recovery.
Now, for the first of our special series on the bushfires and the people whose lives have been turned upside down during this brutal summer. Jeremy Fernandez is in Lake Conjola on the South Coast and he joins us now. Jeremy, it's been a month since the fires tore through that area. What sense are you getting from the people you've been speaking to?
Juanita, 89 homes were lost on New Year's Eve when the fire tore through Conjola Park, just up the road from here, on New Year's Eve. And the sense of grief and uncertainty is still pretty palpable. Now, the task of cleaning up and rebuilding is going to be a massive one. And as our reporter Selby Stewart found out, it's also proving to be a frustrating process for a lot of people.
Conjola Park should be bustling with holidaymakers. Instead, the streets are empty. The forest is bare and it's eerily quiet. Little debris has been cleared. That means when Kim Harper returns to her street, she relives the day her town was ravaged.
Everything's gone, like house after house after house. And it makes me cry, still a month later.
Kim's home survived, but was damaged and is unlivable. Locals are frustrated the clean-up hasn't begun.
There's a lot of people that are still living out here and they don't have any option but to live here. Their house wasn't destroyed and it must kill them every day when they open their eyes and they wake up and they see what they're living amongst.
It's like a disaster has hit Lake Conjola.
Alicia Stoneham was one of those who lost everything. She took this video before her partner and their dog hid in a dam as a firestorm swallowed their possessions.
I'm suffering from the flames coming up over the back and over the other side of the road. You don't let go of that emotion. You're still going to have it. It's still living with you.
And, like some people here, the couple was uninsured. They've received $1,000 from the state government, but have nowhere to live.
We're going to clean up and pretty much try to see if we can stay here or look for elsewhere accommodation.
There are asbestos warnings in every street, but residents haven't been told when it will be removed or when they can start rebuilding their homes. Contractors are still working out how to clear the debris. There are families who are still waiting on insurance payments and others who are too traumatised to return at all. And you can see why. There is still devastation everywhere you look. Residents are clearing what they can.
Most of it I thought would be fire impacted stuff, but now it's hazard reduction. Everyone's just that scared that it's going to come back.
But it costs them $28 per load.
You try and do the right thing and you get sort of, stumped by bureaucracy.
And on hot days, bad memories come racing back.
There is still a lot of fuel, and personally I don't think it would take much to start up again.
A small recovery team is moving the town forward, offering food, support and a link to crucial government services.
Some people are very stoic, but then it might be something very small, either a bad thing or a good thing, a happy thing, that will make them break down and cry.
Donated furniture is being used to rebuild homes from the inside out. The early signs of progress for a community hoping to thrive once more. Selby Stewart, ABC News, Conjola Park.
Now, when the scale of the disaster became clear, the federal government sent in the army to help, and they're still here. Our state political reporter Ashley Raper has had exclusive access to members of the ADF to see how they've been contributing to the recovery effort. She travelled to Nerrigunda with the Deputy Premier to file this report.
It's huge. We've got the north of the state that's been waiting 3 or 4 months for recovery, and here down in the south they are eager for recovery, but we've still got active fire, so it's a balancing game.
John Barilaro is the person in the New South Wales government tasked with cleaning up a devastated state.
Which one are we going?
The Deputy Premier is today with Andrew Constance, whose electorate of Bega bore the brunt of the New Year's Eve bushfires. On hand, the Australian Defence Force.
Behind the scenes, the ADF's doing a huge amount of work dropping water out to the farm so people have drinking water, through to obviously clearing valuable and important roads.
The ADF has been here for almost a month. This isn't simply cleaning up a tree on a road, it's clearing a path to the area's damaged Telstra tower. And it's being done by reservists.
I work as a disability support worker. Yeah, talking to the community or looking after people, that's kind of my day job at the moment. But yeah, now we've been called up and we're ready to do as much as we can.
They've been travelling the area in Bushmasters, usually used in combat. The 6,000 regular army and reservists have cleared almost 2,000 kilometres of road, removed 2,500 trees and delivered more than 14,000 meals. They've also helped with another special delivery.
A lady had gone into labour on a station that was somewhat isolated. We were able to chop open her driveway. There'd been a number of fallen trees that were blocking access to her driveway, and she delivered 2 minutes after arrival at the hospital.
In that case, the ADF has brought joy. For others, it's security and muscle.
A lot of people have left town to go away and recover somewhere else, and I think when they come back they'd like to see it without having 50 hours or 200 hours of chainsaw work.
But there's a task beyond their brief, clearing blocks where houses have been lost.
The worst thing is when you go to your place and there's just rubble.
The clearing of that rubble will be done by contractors, with the government picking up the tab.
Just in this small area, the scale of the cleanup is simply overwhelming. At the moment, the time frame is 6 months to have everything cleared. Then the rebuild begins.
And that is an ambitious target, 6 months for us, and it is difficult. But for individuals, it's going to be tough.
Too long to wait for Juha Tutinen, who wants to rebuild on his property of 36 years.
I'm going to try to look for private contractors now because I'm not going to wait 6 months.
Are you optimistic about your future here?
Absolutely, absolutely. Only forward.
Now, it's quite a different scene here in Lake Conjola, which was largely untouched by the recent bushfire. This is the tourist hub of the local community, and we've met a number of people who, despite the fires, simply refused to cancel their holiday plans. Take a look. Hello guys, I'm back.
Hi. Jeremy.
For this group of mates from Kiama, Shoalhaven and Wollongong, Lake Conjola is a special place.
We all used to work together, and we all became friends at work, and we started doing different things, and then all of a sudden we decided to come down here, and 19 years later we're still here.
Were you guys tempted to cancel when the fires went through?
No, never.
Why not?
No. Well, for two reasons, both personal. This is a time of year that we look forward to catch up together on a personal level with friends that we may not see so much during the course of the year. And on a communal level, there was no way we wouldn't come down and support the local community down here.
Will you be back?
Oh yeah. Yeah, not a problem.
It's going to be Conjola 20.
It's going to be Conjola
20 next year. It's a milestone.
Despite the hot, dry, burnt-out summer, down here by the water, it's still pretty lush, peaceful and green. This little piece of paradise is still largely untouched by the fires that took place just up the road. And that's what keeps generation after generation of visitors coming back to places like Lake Conjola all the way up and down the south coast.
It's just absolutely stunning, isn't it? You've got the lake, you've got the ocean, you've got the beach, you've got the backdrops. And but at the moment, when you look around you, it's a little bit scary, isn't it? And you see the scale of the desolation.
At the general store, business is humming along, and Daryl Stewart, who runs it, says visitors are needed to resist a wave of economic devastation after the fires. What do you think will help things get back to normal?
Just everybody coming back, like the tourists all coming back and supporting the area. But that's what we need. We need the tourists here.
The manager of one of the caravan parks here agrees and wants to assure tourists it's safe to return.
Most people probably think the whole place is burnt out, but a lot of Conjola was untouched, which was good. And you know, it's green, and you couldn't tell from the park that there was a fire really.
At the local cafe, business is buzzing. Not as much as usual, but there is optimism in the air.
We're here having breakfast at the moment, which is fantastic. It's yummy. We definitely enjoy giving back to the community as much as we can.
And you feel it's important to kind of come and support the local businesses as well?
100%. We're small business owners ourselves, so we know what it's like to try and make ends meet, and we'd rather give our money back to small business and the local community.
Well, for a lot of locals in this area, this time since New Year's Eve has been about sort of reassessing what their options might be. I'd like to introduce you to two of them. This is Sue Taylor and Kathy Bleacher, sisters who both lost homes during the recent bushfire. Kathy, this has been an extraordinary few weeks. Tell me what it's been like for you.
Pretty unreal. Just coming to the terms with what happened. I actually got a feeling a week and 3 days prior to the fire. So my daughter and I took my daughter to Ulladulla every day, just feeling. I didn't like with the smoke coming round. I was getting quite tense about it all. So we went into town automatically, and I was so grateful when that came through that we weren't here for it, because I know all the beautiful neighbours and everyone here in the community had to go through like a really tough time.
It's been really tough. Sue, what about for you? People often talk about the sense of community around here. That's what's got them through.
Yeah, and it's very powerful. Last night I met beautiful people at Conjola Bowling Club, and one of the things that really hits me is that people who have survived, their houses are still there because they started to protect them and protect their neighbours, are feeling guilty. We hear it a lot, but I said to her, please don't feel guilty. People who've lost everything don't want you to feel guilty.
Do you know what you'll do, Sue, beyond this point?
Well, rebuilding is something that is an option, but we've got a few weeks to decide. And a lot of people ask that question, but in the early stages, you don't always know the answer.
And Kathy, what about for you? Is it still too soon to kind of think about what you're going to do?
Yeah, I was trying to get my head around everything that's happened, and that was hard enough to, like, you're living in the world, but you feel like you're not living in the real world because of what happened. And twice I've gone to go back to the house, and my daughter said, Mum, what are you doing? And I had to turn around and go back to Mollymook because that's where I was living. Yeah. And you can't get your head around it. Just the weirdest feeling ever.
Now, I just have to say, Happy New Year to both of you, because I know you cancelled January. You and the local community got together and celebrated New Year's a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And, we went to bed at 6:30 on the real New Year's Eve, but we had it Friday night with Mad Max at the club and all the gang. It was fantastic, we let our head out.
Some happy times after a difficult few weeks.
It was happy.
So good to meet you both. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Now, there are stories just like Kathy and Sue's up and down this region. You'll find more details on them and this incredible community on our website. Now, as we mentioned, this is part of a special series we're doing right around the state on the recovery since the bushfires of this season. Next week, we're going to be heading to the Blue Mountains, where residents were fighting for their survival this bushfire season. That's coming up on ABC Local Radio next week, along with ABC News and ABC News Online. For now, though, that's all from Lake Conjola.